Mr. Agnew.
Chairman, you'll be delighted to hear that I'm going to support all the members who have spoken so far, which is unusual for me, but I think George Lyon summed it up very well. What worries me here is that we have this big bureaucracy called a Commission just testing the water, just pushing the boundaries, just to see how much further it can go. Well, we have reacted strongly here, so they will presumably retreat, but everyone must be on their guard because they'll have another go at another time. Thank you.
Herr Häusling.
Ja, ich möchte jetzt hier kein...
Well, I don't want to turn this into a commission-bashing session, but I do think it's a bit exaggerated for the Commission to be compared with some sort of communist central committee. I think that's really going a bit too far. I think things would go better if we as Parliament were involved in the drafting of these acts, and perhaps the Commission could clarify what he meant when he said that we would be fully involved. Of course we're not, we are just observers. And of course it would help to remove distrust and to help avoid misinterpretations if we as a Parliament were fully involved. But that's not the case now. We do get information about implementation through delegated acts, but it's only second-hand information that we get, and I think that situation could be substantially improved.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity again to try to clarify a couple of things, which I probably didn't do that well in the first attempt, so let me try again. Now, the first thing that we have to make clear, and I think we all agree, the Basic Act is the Basic Act is the Basic Act, full stop. It is the legislation that binds us all. We're not discussing again the Basic Act. What we are discussing is areas where details that are not in the Basic Act have to be clarified. Today, we have the first time that the expert group discusses the consolidated version of the delegated act proposal. What we have discussed so far in more than 20 meetings, I think, are the various articles at draft stages. It is obvious that when you have a draft proposal for discussion, there are going to be areas where you need to clarify things, areas where you need to modify things, and today's text is a text that has been modified, and there are going to be other areas where probably we need to do further modifications. And, of course, there are going to be areas where the text will remain as it is because we hope and we believe that we'll be able to convince people that there is a certain logic in doing things one way or the other way. But I repeat that this is not an exercise to change the Basic Act. Nobody has the will, or we don't have any intention of doing something like that. You mentioned before and you asked, do you fully participate in this group? I repeat, this is an expert group of discussion. And in the expert group of discussion, experts from the member states receive information at the various stages of the proposals as we have them in draft form. You also receive the same information at the same time. They have the right to speak. Your representatives there also have the right to speak. It is you that you decide who these representatives are going to be, 2 members of the Parliament. It is not us, but we're talking about experts here. We're not talking members of the Parliament. We're talking about experts. And they are there with the same opportunity as the other experts to express concerns if so they wish. And I think there have been cases where they have done that. So, what is the next stage and what is the next step? The next step is to see how the discussion goes today in the consolidated version. What are exactly the areas where concerns or clarifications remain to be made? And we have another meeting with the expert group to see how we further advance with this consolidated text. And I think it is with this process, in the process where changes have already been made and discussion and clarifications will be given, that we do hope that we will arrive at clarifying things. And I think I have covered most of the question you've asked.
Mr. Agnew.
I think the debate we've just had is essential listening for anyone who wants to study the process of how the EU works. Here we have experienced people, yourself, George Lyon, the gentleman from the Commission, still not in agreement about who can say what, when, and who has what power. Surely, the Agriculture Committee of the European Parliament, if it comes to a decision, can delegate its own secretariat to speak on its behalf at a meeting of the Commission individuals. Surely it has the power to do that. And the fact that that is debated is really very, very strange. Thank you.